Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The Laws of Inferno Dynamics. And I overall really enjoyed this episode because it moved at a nice pace and everything was kind of wrapped up, but yet we still have questions that need answering. And I like it when it's done in that way, where you resolved for the most part, the current arc, but yet you still leave something that could be explored later on if need be. So, we get pretty much to the final confrontation with Eli. So, everybody's just pretty much getting themselves together. We see Coulson and Mace and everybody kind of like talking and laying their cards on the table. Pretty much Mace has this show going on that there's something going on in the Chinatown gang area that they've got, and there's earthquakes and everything, and everybody's wondering if Quake is involved. And Mace is trying to put a handle on the situation, assure everybody that Quake's not involved in it, and that they're working on it, and humans aren't involved, and bringing him up to speed with that Ada's an android. And he's like, I love there was really good dialogue in here, and that characters were just spot on with their kind of reactions. Mace was like, never mind the fact that I was somewhat attracted to her. This breaks the Sokovia Accords. And like, anybody remember Ultron? It's like, yeah, but she helped me get out of a hell dimension, so I'm kind of cool with her. That's kind of like Coulson's rolling with it. It's like she could be used as an asset in here to help us deal with Eli. And he's like, okay, bring her Daisy and Reyes, because Coulson also recognizes that the Ghost Rider is the only thing that's unstoppable at this point. You can't kill it. I mean, yeah, you can send it to hell, but guess what? That just pisses it off. And he comes back and gets his vengeance. Spirit of vengeance. How he works. And it's just like, yeah, if you've got a Hulk, use the Hulk. Granted, it's gonna break some stuff, but use it. So, they get the whole team assembled and everything. They're all trying to figure out kind of what's going on. And we also get to see Eli with the Chinatown gang as well. They're like, you haven't paid us. You're telling us about all this and everything, and you haven't paid us yet. And he goes, oh, yeah, of course. And then he gets one guy to start spitting up unrefined diamonds and showing that he has even more control and going with other elements and everything. And we've seen that he has built this giant box that kind of resembles the power cells that were used to power the other machine. So that kind of freaks out the Chinatown gang people, and it's just like, well, at least we're getting paid. But that was a pretty effective scene with what was going on in that. Eli really is operating on another level, and we still need to figure out what exactly his end game is. So everybody gets to where Eli's doing his stuff, and they're like, it's really weird because the operatives that he's got, the Chinatown gang, the ex-cons and everything, have pulled out. And it's like, okay. So they also get Yo-Yo and Daisy involved. So Yo-Yo goes in to figure out what's going on. But as she does, water interacts with this compound on the walls and starts this fireball that shoots her back. And everyone's like, whoa. And she's kind of knocked for a loop, and Max, like, freaked out, like, no, you're hurt and everything. And she's like, why do you care? Because he's been acting really strange towards her, and I like seeing that kind of dynamic. It's like, if a character's acting stupid, other characters have to call them out on their bullshit. And she's like, no, I can still do stuff. It was just a fireball. Of course I sound a little weird. I'm fine. So, everybody's trying to figure out what they can actually do. Because they're like, well, that fireball kind of screwed us up. So, they send Robbie in, and they have trouble with his feed and everything. And as they finally get to see what's going on with the feed, they see the box and everything. And we kind of get Robbie's confrontation with Eli. Because he walks into the box, which, granted, is kind of stupid, but yet he's got the spirit of vengeance. And we get to see that his endgame is he's got a nuclear device pretty much in the box. And that shows how much control that he's been able to actually make, well, he thinks it's making plutonium. And he's showing his other control. He stabs Robbie with the carbon that he can make to kind of trap him in there. And we get this understanding of what is driving Eli. He's trying to become what he believes is a god. And he's doing it because everybody's kind of condescended to him his whole life. He's fought and achieved so much, but nobody's been recognizing it. And that's why he wants this power, to become a god and eventually create life. even from after death. And that's pretty cool. It evened out his arc more, because it seemed like he was this smart PhD person, and then suddenly the book just flipped a switch in him and he went egomaniacal crazy. This does a better job to kind of even out his progression and show that it was kind of always there. It's always fascinating to see why good people do bad things, and this just kind of shows that it was one thing after another, these kind of injustices that he feels have been forced upon him, and then getting back and getting respect by being able to do this, create elements that he believes out of nothing, and compounds like water and all that, and he wants to create life. And that's a pretty big thing. And we still don't know completely exactly at this point what his powers are, and as we're seeing it and seeing the earthquakes and everything, Fitz and Simmons figure out that he's not making it, he's stealing it from another dimension. And that's what they need to figure out how to stop. The earthquakes aren't earthquakes, they're because of the quantum energy that's going into the box, it is creating a bigger rift in what's going on. That it's like breaking through the dimensions, because he's got to be pulling it from somewhere. It's the law of thermodynamics. Matter and energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. And that's that balance. So, if he thinks he's making something out of nothing, it's not correct. He has to be getting it from somewhere. And how he's getting it, that factors into the tearing and the rumblings between dimensions, which is a pretty big thing, and I'm glad that they kind of went with that. Now, it would be kind of cooler if we figured out if it's one, either a parallel dimension, or two, hell. That would open up a whole other can of worms. So, they figured out the only way to get this done is to pretty much suck that box into the other dimension. So, they get everybody in place with the portal way that they had made, and they pretty much get this whole thing set up where we got Coulson with the chain, of course, which is great for Robbie, and we get the gang and everybody in there, and everything gets set up, and Daisy is absorbing the quakes to stop them from destroying whatever they're going on with the portal, and Ada's doing everything that she needs to. So we get to this point, and it's a really cool action sequence, because multiple things are going on at once, and it's very well executed. So they get to it where they need the magnet in the box up top and one at the bottom, so that way they're in tune and can be sucked down at the same time. That's a pretty good plan. So they get Yo-Yo to pretty much get the rest of Eli's forces into position enough for Mac and Mace to take them out and also make sure Coulson's alright. And she puts the magnet to Eli, which then sucks him into the box, and Robbie, of course, Ghost Rider's out. And is pretty much the one to keep Eli in the box. And, of course, Coulson was going to pull him out, but he was seeing what Eli was going to do, grabbed onto him, and that's when the portion flipped down and pretty much activated the nuke, but at the same time, they had the portal open and sucked them both in. But Eli was getting pretty much burned alive by the Ghost Rider at that point anyway. So, that wasn't bad, but I kind of wanted the Penance Stare to make its appearance. And if that is the Penance Stare, that's okay, but I kind of wanted like more of a visual cue from like the Ghost Rider and like seeing the person being kind of burned by the sins that they have committed. But overall, I think they did a real good job with that. And then, of course, yeah, it sucked him pretty much into a hell dimension, but I mean, we don't know exactly what happened to Robbie if he got blown up by a nuke, but I think he'll still be okay. It just depends upon how his deal with the Ghost Rider is structured, if that he is going to be pretty much staying in hell at the moment to, I don't know, just wait until he's needed. So that was resolved. We got to see Mace with a new suit and kind of doing some good kick-ass action with all that was going on during that scene, and we saw that Ada was also injured as well. So while they're figuring out with that, Daisy had to go outside and release the stored up energy that she had been absorbing, which of course she would need to, which almost ran into a news snafu, and that Mace had said that Daisy wasn't there, and now she is there, and then Mace, of course, pretty much pulls an audible, and we see that he says that she's Agent Johnson and bringing her back into the fold. She was all working undercover and everything to take out the watchdogs, as we see later, which is a nice save and kind of bringing Daisy back in and kind of showing her that she's needed on the team. And then we saw that Ada as well was injured and actually was programmed to feel pain, and she was like, this is not good. And it's like, I'm not dying, but this hurts. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. And that's a real big step in making them lifelike. So everybody's like excited and celebrating and all that. We see everybody back at the base. I like the talk that Coulson had with Daisy, talking about how he did want an Inhuman as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that he's like, you wanted me? Ha, maybe in the comic book version. I love that line. That was really kind of cool, and they do have a comic book version of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I haven't read it, but that's pretty cool. Hopefully Daisy does become the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. because it shows a growth. It's a logical pattern that would go because she's building herself up. She's acquiring skills to be that leader that people would need and want and not keep secrets. So everybody's getting their celebration on. Mac, of course, talks with Yo-Yo and talks about how he's been having problems and all that. And she's like, I can't read your mind and all that, and about to walk off, and of course he kisses her, and we kind of get that their relationship start to mend, which was organically done. It's not like a forced relationship, and I like it when it goes that way. So we see some interesting stuff going towards the end, which also leads us to what is going to be happening after the break. We see that May and Coulson are opening that bottle and everything. And at this point, we haven't seen anything strange with May. So that factors into Mace talking with Radcliffe, and Mace was saying that he sent Nathanson, Agent Nathanson, to get his stuff and bring it back to the S.H.I.E.L.D. base, so that's where he'll be doing his research. So we see Nathanson, and he's getting everything, and then this door opens, and he looks inside, and Ada comes over and kills him. And I'm like, what's going on with this? This is related to that brain thing? And then afterwards, we see that May's inside, and she's like, I'll get you cleaned up in no time, Agent May. And it's like, so evidently May was, I don't know if Radcliffe's involved with this or not, but evidently when May was sent, I think, to get them, she was incapacitated, and I think Ada made a life model decoy of May, and that is who went on the mission. And that's pretty scary because you can't really tell the difference. She's got memories, everything of May, fighting skills, that's a next step, and we don't know exactly what she's made of. Which then we get to see some interesting stuff, and of course we've got a similar Ultron-esque situation that's probably going to happen because Ada has gone past her programming. She's achieved a level of sentience that I don't think Radcliffe thought she could, which of course always happens with AI, and killing Nathanson's is like one of the final proofs of that. It's like she shouldn't be able to harm a person like that. I mean, she should be able to harm someone to preserve life and herself, but killing like that, that's a new level, and of course we saw previews and everything, and I'm kind of excited that's going to be the next part of the season. I was only a little disappointed that we didn't have a complete tie-in with Doctor Strange, but granted, I really don't think that that's completely needed every time a Marvel movie pops up. It's nice to tie it together, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. It's just, it really would have worked well with the Ghost Rider and the supernatural elements that we were getting. But that's cool. I'm glad to see that this was wrapped up and seeing where it's going to be going next. And we're going to have some crazy stuff. Probably Ada will be making life model decoys of the rest of the teams and all that. So that way they're safe, and those are going to be interesting fight sequences. Hopefully, if it goes that direction. So I can't wait to see what happens after this break. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.